Aamer Rahman is a critically acclaimed stand-up comedian who shot to fame, particularly after his reverse racism video went viral across the internet. He's currently sold out the Soho Theatre, and Ceasefire magazine caught up with him to find out what he's been up to and what he's got planned in the future. Hi Aamer, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Alright, wicked.
That was so awkward. That was so awkward. Do it again. Hi. Do you like stuff? Yes. Yes, I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for Aamer Rahman.
Well, it's fantastic that you managed to turn up in the UK, because I know you had a little bit of trouble when you were over in Belgium, is that right?
I did. I came to the UK, then I went to Belgium to do some shows, and they hesitated to let me back in, because I think they'd been alerted to how many white people could potentially be offended if I was allowed to re-enter the country.
And have you offended the designated number of white people yet? Or?
I hope so. Look, there's always room for more. I don't have an upper limit.
Yeah, I know. I think we took a picture of one of them, actually. So, Australia is where you grew up, right? What was it like growing up in Australia?
I actually grew up between Australia and the Middle East.
Okay.
But definitely growing up in Australia as someone from an immigrant background was difficult. I think most people who are not white have had experiences of racism growing up in Australia.
And did you always kind of use comedy to kind of try to counteract it, or is that something that came a bit later?
No, definitely. I think I learned pretty quickly that comedy was no defense against racism.
Australia is the country where the government right now is trying to change the law to make hate speech easier to publish. So I was just like, so what exactly is the problem, white supremacist kids? Not enough racism for you? Who are these Generation Y Nazis? More, me, never satisfied. Be happy with the racism we have. There's plenty to go around. Don't get greedy. Australia is a sunny Nazi beach resort. A little white-powered Disneyland on the edge of the earth.
A bit later on, you've kind of been described as other critics as a comic a bit too bitter for comedy. Why so bitter?
I think basically it's just the expectation on, non-white comedians to pander to white audiences. I think it is just unusual for people to see a brown person who makes comedy for black and brown people, and for someone in the industry to not sort of soften their material or edit it, to cater to a wider audience.
So going back to Australia a little bit, I'm really interested. A lot of your shows about activism and kind of the kind of political work you do. How did you kind of get into doing kind of radical politics back in Australia?
I think I was just kind of really frustrated growing up in Australia, just having a lot of experiences with racism, and I think afterwards I just found people who'd had the same experiences and kind of were giving me an outlet in terms of how to do something about it.
And what about the main left groups in Australia? I know we have a lot of problems in Britain with a lot of the left being more interested in setting up vegan cafes than resisting imperialism. Is that similar in Australia, or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't write off all of the left, but I think definitely when it comes to engaging the communities they want to act in solidarity with, I think the left just has a long way to go. I think the left is happy to criticize the idea of things being post-race, but at the same time the left has this delusion that it is post-race.
So how does the left in Australia address issues like the Aboriginal struggle, for instance? Are they?
I think the problem is that there isn't a sustained campaign of solidarity. I think it just sort of comes and goes when an issue pops up in the media.
Yeah.
And I think there's just that ongoing problem of, ending up being white saviors as opposed to giving a platform or acting in real solidarity with other communities.
Aamer, check this out. Someone bombed a marathon. Crazy white guy for sure. I was like, I don't know about that. Lightning doesn't hit the same place twice. And then the first surveillance photos came out, and the suspects were light-skinned, and the people were like, come on, Aamer, you got to admit it's white guys. Just wait. And I was like, no, you wait. And finally, the news came out that they were Caucasian, but they were Chechen Muslims. So, wrong kind of white. That's the brown kind of white.
So Britain has been shaken by the recent halal meat scandal. The powerful halal meat lobby, which we're fairly sure exists, has been pressuring institutions and family-run businesses all over Britain into serving halal meat. Britain has been turned into near-vegetarianism in attempting to address it. What do you make of this new form of culinary terrorism?
Well, I think people were justifiably scared by the idea that their food might secretly contain halal meat, and I wasn't really offended by that, because I think food is a very personal thing, and even myself, when I sit down to eat a meal at a restaurant, I suffer a phobia, which is it's hard for me to talk about, but sometimes when I sit down to eat at a restaurant, I'm terrified that maybe that meal was actually prepared by a white person, and this might be inedible. And sometimes I just have to check. I have to go into the back. I go into the kitchen to make sure that underpaid migrants have actually prepared the meal, so that I know I can eat it.
You're an inspiration. A slightly more serious academic question now, if I may. As we know, it's general consensus now, racism is a thing of the past. The real victims of oppression now are white people, who have been victimised as you have rightly identified as reverse racism. But there's a problem. White people have been so well organised and so vigilant, they've actually been able to resist reverse racism so effectively that they're tipping the balance back to create what scholars are now calling reverse racism. What do you make of this new phenomenon?
Well, I'm aware of this. White people are they're tough, and they know how to resist oppression, but we can't let them win, Adam. So I've been hard at work pioneering reverse racism.
Of course. Thank you.
It must be done.
Aamer Rahman, thanks for talking to Ceasefire today.
Always good. Thank you.